Hi guys, a huge success for Rishi Sunak, coincidentally just before the local elections. The very first flight to Rwanda has taken off, and an asylum seeker has arrived in the African nation. The Prime Minister will be no doubt delighted. He will claim he's winning and that his Rwanda bill, which has cost £500 million so far, is finally working. This should now allow him to turn things around and win the general election. But there's one small problem with this, which John Craig from Sky News was very kind to point out to us.
The first ever migrant has been sent from the UK to Rwanda. The individual was believed to be part of the voluntary relocation plan. Well, let's bring in our chief political correspondent, John Craig, who can tell us more. And John, I mean, this is the moment the government has been waiting for.
Well, up to a point. It's not a deportation as such. It's under a voluntary scheme, this. And the guy's been given £3,000 to settle in Rwanda as part of this voluntary scheme. He went on a commercial flight and was handed £3,000 from taxpayers to help him relocate. And it was part of this scheme, as I say, for voluntary deportations. Now, opposition politicians have been pretty scathing about this. For example, Yvette Cooper has said that this shows that the scheme, Yvette Cooper says, the Tories are so desperate to get any flight off to Rwanda before the local elections, they've now just paid someone to go. British taxpayers aren't just forking out £3,000 for a volunteer to board a plane, they're also paying Rwanda to provide him with free board and lodgings for the next 5 years. And Labour saying again what they've said a million times before about this being a pre-election gimmick. She also says that former Tory Home Office ministers, that's Robert Jenrick and others, have warned that this plan was just to get token flights off. Now we know what they mean. And Nigel Farage has also had something to say about this. He says, "Don't be conned by this new government spin on the Rwanda deal. This African man who did not even cross the channel was refused asylum and has voluntarily accepted £3,000 plus free board. It won't stop the boats." So it's not a deportation flight on a chartered plane or anything like that. He was put on a commercial flight, paid £3,000 under a voluntary scheme. The government will say, of course, it's a success, and it's the first person who's been sent to Rwanda, but it's not quite as the government would have us believe.
It's a gimmick. That's all it is. It's a pre-election gimmick. The local elections on the 2nd of May get somebody off to Rwanda, even if it costs £3,000 and the cost, we don't know the cost of 5 years food and board for this asylum seeker. Like, so many questions to ask about this. How is it a deterrent if you're saying to people, well, if you go to Rwanda voluntarily, we'll give you £3,000? How is that supposed to stop the boats from coming to Britain in the first place? Like, the far right, Nigel Farage and others will say, well, this is actually an incentive. This is a pull factor. If you're saying to people, we're going to give you £3,000 and 5 years of food and board in Rwanda if you come to Britain and then leave voluntarily, it's a pull factor. That's the way they'll talk about it. This is insane. And think about it from the media point of view. The Tories were hounding Angela Rayner over something like 1,500 quid in what they claimed was unpaid taxes on capital gains or something. And you're talking about giving a guy £3,000, double that, to go to Rwanda. Of course, Rishi Sunak and his minions will be in the media on Wednesday saying, yeah, this is a success. Don't worry, this is the first step in a long journey. It proves that the Rwanda bill is working. It proves that we have succeeded. Remember, Rishi Sunak and James Cleverly, the Home Secretary, were against this in the beginning. They realized, well, we need to hitch our wagon to this policy if we want to stay in power or increase our power. We have to be tough on immigration. We can use this to succeed. But it shows a party that has been in power for 14 years are not interested in actually dealing with issues. Like, if they truly cared about immigration, I've said before, they would process the claims. But they're not interested in processing the claims. They're more interested in gimmicks. The gimmick before the local elections, and probably now, if he's able to sell this to the public, it depends on how the public respond to this. I don't think they're going to respond very positively We've heard the left saying that, you know, it's a gimmick. Even Nigel Farage on the right saying it's a gimmick. It's not actually going to succeed. So it depends on the public. If the public respond in a positive way, then I think Rishi Sunak will call a general election and say, now let's have a general election so that we can run on this. This is possible. But what a charade. What a joke. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.